Chumash and Rashi, the Torah portion, Behar-Bechukotai, we're in the fifth reading. Let's get right to it. It's lengthy. And we have some, okay. We're at chapter 26 in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, verse 10. Chapter 26, verse 10. Okay. V'achaltem yashan noishan. Oh, what happened there? Okay. V'achaltem yashan noishan, and you will eat doubly old produce. Mipnei chadash teitziyu. You'll clear out the old produce in order to make room for new produce, for the new harvest. Let's see Rashi in number 10. So that you will eat that which is old. The fruits will be preserved, and they will be good to be aged. That the old which has been aged, for 3 years, will be better to eat. Mishal Ishtakad, from that of last year. We're talking about sabbatical year and the Jubilee year, right? And the fact that, excuse me, that can sometimes be 3 years of not having produce. It's going to be aged produce. Right, so there's going to be a blessing over here. It doesn't mean that it's going to be old and stale food. It means old food will be blessed like it's fresh food, and even better than fresh food from last year. And you will remove the old to make way for the new. The threshing floors will be full of new crop, and the storehouse will be full of the old crop. And now you're going to have to empty the storehouses in order to make mokum la'acher, to make some place, so you can put the new crop in the place where the old crop was. Okay. Actually, I'm not certain that this is necessarily about the sabbatical year. It could be just, when you're going to, as the beginning of the Torah portion, the second Torah portion, Bechukotai, means if you're going to follow my statutes, observe the mitzvahs, and perform them, right? So you get rain in its proper time, produce from the produce and the tree from the field will yield its fruits, and so on and so forth, right? All of this, peace in the land, right? Everything will be wonderful. So this is a continuation of that idea. Okay. Yeah. So I don't think it necessarily means. Although it says 3rd year, so I'm not certain about that. Okay, then the Satan is going to be Seichechem, I will place my dwelling amongst you, and my soul will not reject you. We didn't reject God, He doesn't reject us. Then the Satan Mishkani, I will place my sanctuaries of Beis Hamikdash, first the Holy Temple, right, in Jerusalem. And my soul will not reject, right? Ein ruchi katzavachem. My spirit will not be rejecting you. Kol ge'ila, the term go'ol, loshem pleitas davar, means expelling something. Hablu b'davar, something that was absorbed and then it was rejected. It was expelled. Right. Sham Nigal Magin Gibarim, like the shield of the mighty was purged. Like Kibal and Mashiach, they did not take the absorb the smearing, Shemeshri Magin Shel Or. He's just bringing examples of it. B'cholot Mevushal, Kedei Lahachlif Me'olav, in order that it should slide off it. Makis Chaitz, the blow of an arrow, like they would put the smear on the shield so that the arrow would, would be just expelled. Shel Yikod Ha'or. Okay, 12. Salachti b'seichem, and I will go amongst you, walk amongst you, v'yisilachem, and I will be for you le'elikim, for a God, ba'atem tiyulilam, and you will be for me a people, a nation. Rashi v'salachti b'seichem, I'll walk among you, atilnim amalchem, I'll stroll with you, v'gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, ke'echem mikem, like one of you. Finds presence of God will be palpable, like in the Garden of Eden. And you're not tremble and fear because of me. I might think that you're not going to fear me. The verse says that I will be for you a God. In other words, God will be palpable, but not in a way that we won't have the awe of God. We will have. That's what the verses say. I am Hashem your God. They took you out of the land of Egypt. From being slaves to them, meaning the Egyptians. And I broke the mutais, the crossbars of your yoke. And I led you upright, meaning out of Egypt into freedom. Rashi in 13. Okay. So I'm Hashem your God. Kidayani, I deserve shetaminu be that you should believe in me. Shani yochel I can do everything that I just mentioned. Sharev, how do you know? I took you out of Egypt. And I performed for you and Nisim Gedalim, great miracles. Right. Matais, crossbars, Kaminya Yasid, like a type of peg. Mishnei Rashi Ha'el, that at two ends of the yoke. Hame'akvim Hamaisera, that stop the reins. Shalitetze Mereish Asher, it should not come off the head of the ox. Yatir Akesher, to undo the tie. Similar we find reins and pegs. In Old French, chavil. Kamumais, erect, became a skufa. He took us out standing erect. It's not bent over. Okay, excuse me. We're now going to go into, if we don't listen, and the negative things that will come. All right. When the Balkaira reads this, by the way, he starts with a low voice. He reads it in a low voice. And all the curses is a story with the Mittler Rebbe when he was 11 years old, are hidden blessings. Okay. But simple meaning of the text, we're not going to hear the hidden blessings, right? When we learn Chumash Rashi. All right. And if you will not listen to me, and you will not do all of these mitzvahs, commandments, Rashi in 14. If you're not going to listen to me, what are you listening to? Then you're not going to labor in study of Torah, like we do every day, right? From 7 o'clock in the morning, we're laboring in the study of Torah. That's Behar-Bechukotai, right? And we labor in the study of Torah. Now, we're not paying lip service to it, we're putting our real effort into it. The das means in order to know the written, the teachings of the sages. Yochel, I might think the Kima Mitzvahs. Now, this verse is referring to the fulfillment of commandments. But when it says Lois Hasu, that you did not perform Harei Kima Mitzvahs. In other words, the end of the verse says, first it says, if you're not going to listen to me, then you're not going to do what the commandments. So the end of the verse is speaking about fulfillment of the commandments. So what do I do with the if you're not going to listen to me? What does that refer to? So Rashi concludes that we should labor in the study of Torah. In other words, not just pay lip service to study Torah, but really, get into it. Why does it say if you're not going to listen to me? So the to me, that it means nothing else if Shamakir is Rabbeinu, someone who's aware of God, the master. And intends to rebel against him. We find by Nimrod, Gibert Tzayid, leaves the Hashem that he was a mighty hunter before God. Shemakirai, what does it mean before God? How is he before God? What does it mean before God? Meaning the before God implies that he was aware of God. He understood what it means before God. He had an awareness of God, and it's come Nimrod, but yet he tended to rebel against God. I know him. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want. Right? That's Nimrod. Similarly, with the people of Staim, it says, that they were evil and sinful to God, very much so. Meaning, they were aware of God, but they chose and intended to rebel against him. That's what it means, li. In other words, we're talking about that those who know that you should be toiling in the study of Torah, they're aware, yet they choose to rebel and not be. So the only two good examples I know of, Rashi says Nimrod and Stein Vamara. I mean, and others having an awareness and rebelling against God. Loisasu do not and will not perform. Once you're not studying Loisasu, then you're not going to perform the mitzvah. You have two sins here. Right? One will lead to the other. Also, verse 15, if my statutory laws you're going to despise, and my ordinances, tigal, you will reject. Nafshechem, you're meaning you, Nafshechem. The ability says to not do as called mitzvah, all of my commandments, la frichem, as brisi, and to break my covenant, right? That's what's going to happen, says Rashi. If my statutory laws, oh, excuse me, you're going to despise. Say nechachamim. Oh, sorry. Begin this one. So we just spoke about that in the previous verse, that if you're not going to be toiling in Torah, that's about you. So what is this adding over here? What are you revolting against? What are you despising? You're despising that others perform these statutory laws. That's what Rashi's adding, right? The fact that you didn't yourself toil in Torah. That was the previous verse. So now, what is this? What are you hating and despising over here? Oh, anybody else that's doing it. In other words, my rule of law, that's what you're despising. Mishpat tigal nafshechem, that you rejected my ordinances. Seinach chachamim. First was on people who partake in these statutory laws, and now the sages who teach them. You're going to hate them too. So previous verse also said, already said that you're not doing the mitzvahs, right? So what does it mean you're not doing? It's not a repetition, meaning you're holding back others from doing, right? You're making fun of those who do the mitzvahs. As Kol Mitzvah say, all of my commandments, Kaifer, you renounce the commandments, Shaloi Tzivisim, that to say that I, God, didn't command them. Kach never, that's why it says, it's called Mitzvah say, all of my commandments, Lei Nemar, is called HaMitzvahs. Aha, it doesn't say all of the commandments, and others, all of my mitzvahs, meaning God speaking in first person, right? As you're going to reject all of my mitzvahs, that it's from me, my mitzvahs. It doesn't say that you're rejecting all the mitzvahs, but the fact that they're my mitzvahs that I'm told, right now you're just gonna make fun and say, oh, you know what, the rabbis they just made it up. They got to do this, right? In order to annul my covenant, this renouncing the essential, denying the belief in God, the you have here 7 sins that have been delineated over here in the last 2 verses. I mean, this in the previous verse. The first sin brings the second, and likewise until the 7th. And what are they? You didn't study, right? That was the first thing. And as a result, you didn't perform. And then you're going to hate others who do mitzvahs. And then you're going to hate the scholars. And then you're going to prevent others from performing mitzvahs, right? Going down and down. The slippery slope, kavod mitzvahs. And then you renounce the commandments altogether. The kavod mikvah, then you renounce the essential thing, right? That we do have a covenant between us and God. You just completely deny that. All right, that's what we do now. God is kind of reflecting back, mirroring what we're doing. And then I too will do this to you. Vifkadati aleichem bahala. I'm going to bring upon you a bahala, a disorientation. It translates over here. A bahala, disorientation, or a panic. Right? It's a shachefes. Here it says consumption. There's a sickness. There's a kadachas and consumption and blister. Okay. Hello. This one. The shachef is a sickness. There's a kadachas, burning. The body will burn in meaning like a also sickness of fever. Chalas einayim, the eyes. Um, medivas nefesh. So your eyes will get sick, meaning you won't have any hope from the depression of your soul. Mizerantim larik, and you will sow in vain seed. And your enemies will eat it. Doesn't sound appetizing. I will Tzivisi Alechem will command upon you. Shachefis, wasting away, cheli of an illness. Shemeshachev is a bus that eats, wears away at the flesh. In Old French, and pole. Daimel and Nafuot, this is like being swelled up, Shehukla, the Fichase, whose swelling has eased. Maris Patna, the countenance of whose face appears sullen due to the sagging of the flesh. Kadachas is a fever. Achedish Diach is a goof, and illness inflames the body. A mechamamai, and heats it. Virai, and makes it burn. Kamai ki eish kadachta bi'api. It just gives an example. Bechalus einayim medivais nefesh. Casting the eyes to pine and the soul to feel anguish. Einayim tzayfes. The eyes look forward. Bechalus and pine lirais to see. Sheikal that it will be that you'll have some relief. Yirapet. And that you should be cured. But in the end, you're not going to be cured. And the souls of the family will feel anguish. Like by his death. Called Taiva, every desire she'ena ba does not come, is not fulfilled. So cheles shocha, extended yearning, kruya kelayan einayim, means the pining of the eyes. Last Rashi in 16. Vazarantim larik, and you will sow in vain. Tizra, you will sow. Unless it's me, but it's not going to sprout. Being that's me, it will sprout. Then the enemies will eat it. You're not going to get it. Okay, I got to stop over here. We'll have Tanya coming up shortly. Not very appetizing. Right? All right. Thank you, folks. We'll see you by Tanya in a few moments.